Hey, what's up? It's Scott Balkum here from Imagination Creation Films, and today I want to do a mini review on the Sony 4K camera. Quite possibly the world's best vlogging camera. Let's dive in and see if I'm all wet. What is up, YouTube? It's a good day to be out. Always hot. Camera's always crooked. Hard not to love it. Smells nice. Let's get ready to dive in on that. But first, as always, my reviews wouldn't be amazing without a delicious cigar. Today's delicious cigar is a Brick House, and it is a very nice cigar. Kind of a medium-bodied cigar. It's not super expensive at all. Is that in focus? Let's light up and dive in on that review. Everything's better when you toast it. I'm just going to get a nice even burn on the outside. I don't want to have to come back and do a relight on this. I bought this camera a little over 2 months ago, right before NAB. I bought it because I wanted a good compact vlogging camera that could shoot 4K, as well as I wanted to shoot 120 frames a second in 1080. And to me, that was pretty important. I wanted to have that variety in my shots when I do my vlogging portions of these episodes. This camera shoots 4K. It shoots Ultra HD, which is 3840 by 2160. Shoots it at 8-bit. It is internal. It'll shoot 120 frames a second at 1080p. It does have an attached lens. Obviously, you can't change that out. It is a Zeiss lens. It is a zoom. I don't have it in front of me, but I'll just drop it right there. It is a f1.8, so it's fairly fast. Now, you may notice that the camera is fully extended out. We'll get into that one shortly. So let's go through the positives of this camera. It does have a LCD screen that can flip up and go forward. And that is super nice when you're vlogging, because being able to see yourself is always important to a vlogger, because we're vain. We want to see ourselves. Not really. We actually just need to make sure we're in frame or that we're in focus, because that seems to happen a lot. You can flip it up. You can flip it out. You can flip it down. It has a little bit of range in there, but not a lot. You cannot flip it sideways. It does have a pop-up viewfinder right there. For those traditionalists who just like to look at more of like a rangefinder type camera. It also has a flash. That flash can pop up. That's for people who are wanting to take photos. I don't do photos that often. I do time lapse. I said do. I do time lapse, so I do take photos periodically. Battery life on it is not bad. It uses very small batteries that go into the bottom here. The SD card also goes right in that little pocket. There's a big beef that I have. This is the tripod screw, okay? This is the battery door. Watch what happens when I open it. It actually goes over the tripod screw, which means one big problem. If it's on a tripod, you're not swapping batteries on it. And you may be thinking, I'm not on a tripod that often. True. How about a Gorilla Pod? When you're vlogging, you're holding it out, got it on a little Gorilla Pod, you can't take that battery out. There's no possibility to do that. I have played with this and played with this. I looked at removing it completely, but the battery will just fall out if you don't. It has a little bit of latch in there, but that's not worth trying. The 4K on this looks really nice. When we were at Zion National Park, we used it. We mounted it up on the front of the truck on a suction cup mount and drove through Zion National Park. And the footage was pretty spectacular. I couldn't complain. It's relatively easy to grade. It does come with S-Log 2, so you get a little bit of dynamic range. It's not fantastic, You're nowhere near the higher end cameras, but this is a $1,000 camera. When it is powered off, this lens folds all the way up behind here. So all you have is just this little knob section right here is the only thing that is protruding. So it can be shoved right in your pocket, no problem at all. I think I mentioned battery life on it. Battery life, you're going to get a little over an hour of 4K recording with that battery, but you can pick up batteries for this really cheap. I have not found a way to do an external battery on it. The menu system's just like all the other Sonys. If you're familiar with it, you have the tile option and the non-tile option. It has a fairly fast autofocus, and it's not bad picking out subjects and being able to differentiate. It does have face recognition. It is not as fast as the Canon dual pixel autofocus. Again, $1,000, tiny, 4K. So those are the overall good points. Now let's get into the negatives. Negative number one, we talked about briefly, which is that battery door and that tripod hole. Negative number two, it'll only record 5 minutes maximum in 4K. Why? In 1080, you can record 29 minutes and 59 seconds. But in 4K, 5 minutes, and it will just shut off. That means you have to be brief. Plan your shots accordingly. In addition, this thing will overheat so fast. I did a test out in about 80 degrees outside. I was able to record 2 full 5-minute segments, and then when I went into my third segment, about 3 minutes into it, it died with the overheating. And the overheating first, it puts up a little warning on the screen, and then it dims it down, and then within about 30 seconds, it's gonna turn itself off. Unless you are in Alaska in wintertime, you're not likely to get to record a whole lot with 4K in a single setting. It takes about 5-10 minutes for it to cool down. I have tried all the different things of moving this out, and it overheats. Next flaw, there is no microphone input. It has 2 tiny little microphones at the top, and they sound pretty good. But as soon as wind kicks up, yeah, you lose them. I've seen a lot of people cut out a little piece of foam or a little piece of fake fur and glue them right on top, and apparently makes a huge difference. But that is going to be a problem. If you're in a noisy situation, if you're in a crowd, if you're in a street, if you're in an air-conditioned room like this one, that's going to be a problem. You're going to hear everything. Now, it's a great stereo image. You'll feel like you're there. So no microphone input, tripod battery door conflict, 5-minute maximum 4K, approximately 14 minutes or so of 4K in segments before it overheats. Those are some big negatives. If you are to the point or you can get your shots in within 5 minutes, then you're probably not going to have a problem with the 4K. If you're not in noisy environments, you're not going to have a problem with the audio. Positives, S-Log2, 4K video, looks really nice, f1.8 lens, it's got a zoom, super compact. You can buy time-lapse options for it, reasonable autofocus. That's not a bad deal. It's $1,000. You can do a lot for $1,000. Now, for the elephant in the room. This camera no longer functions. Why? The ocean took it. Short story. We were just outside of Big Sur, and we were down at one of the state parks underneath one of the bridges, and we walked down to the ocean, and I wanted to set this guy up to get some nice rolling waves coming in at 120 frames a second in 1080p. And I had looked at this one rock that was sticking up, and I watched about 6 or 7 waves go through it, and at no time did it ever come anywhere close to the top of that rock. I felt I was completely safe. So I put the Gorilla Pod on the bottom, and I set it up on there, and I was working on the menu, setting it to 120 frames a second, and I was about to hit record, and I look down, and I see around the sides of this rock just giant amounts of water coming around. My first instinct was, oh crap, I gotta save my shoes. Let me jump back. I didn't feel at all concerned about the camera. So I jumped back, At that point, as I'm jumping back, the water came up to my shorts. Now there was no saving the shoes. My wife goes, "Scott, the camera." I look over and the camera is just floating away. It had come over the top, swept it off. I took the camera and I shook it, and I took the battery out, and I tried to get all the water out of it. I could not. We did eject that SD card as fast as I could. It was one of the first things I thought of, mostly because it had about 4 days of footage on there and I had not downloaded it yet. Moral of the story, the camera is not waterproof. It's not water resistant. I wouldn't even go near water with it. This is not a fault of Sony. This is my fault. This now goes in the camera graveyard. And now I have a question for you. And I would truly appreciate it if you went down below and left a comment with your answer. What do you want to see on this channel? Do you want to see some how-to videos? Do you want to see some filmmaking tips? Do you want to see some camera tips? Do you want to see more reviews? Would you like to hear some more stories of our shots? Would you like behind the scenes footage? Do you want me riding around on my boosted board talking about life? Do you want these little intimate moments where we connect in a personal level? Do you want a mixture of everything? Let me know down below what you want. Do you want some delicious cigar reviews mixed in there as well? Let me know. You know, I am doing this for me. I'm doing it so I can be a better storyteller, a better filmmaker. But you came along for the ride. And I truly appreciate that. Thank you. And I want to do something for you too. I want to keep this going. I want this to be a conversation. I'd also ask, for those of you who haven't done it already, and those that have, thank you so much. But if you haven't, please click that subscribe button down below. At the very end of this video, right in the center, there'll be a big circle with my logo on it. Click that. It'll subscribe for you. Also, if you want to be notified the moment I put a new video up, right next to that subscribe button, there's a little bell. If you click that, what that'll do is alert you that I just uploaded a new video. So all in all, I hope this was an informative review for you. Great little camera for $1,000. Shoots 4K. It's hard to overlook that. I mean, I cried a little bit, I'll be honest, when it went into the ocean. Maybe a little tear. But in the end, it really was only $1,000 in the grand scheme of things with everything else that I shoot with. It's a drop in the bucket. And I don't mean to diminish that. This could easily be the best camera that somebody's shooting with, and it will produce some amazing video. So I'm not discounting that. But in the grand scheme of things, it hurt. It just didn't hurt that bad. It could have been a $3,000 camera that I lost, or a $50,000 camera. And I did seriously think about replacing him. I ultimately didn't. I chose a different camera, which is this one right here. It's bigger, it's more expensive, but that's a review for another day. So as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking in to the end. I hope you enjoy these vlogs, these reviews, these behind the scenes, all of these things that I do, and I hope you enjoy these cigars as much as I do. Again, click that subscribe button down there below. Click that little alert bell next to it if you'd like to be notified as soon as I upload. And thank you. Also, if there's any equipment manufacturers out there that want to send me gear to review, I'm happy to do it. Down below in the description, you'll find an email address that says for business inquiries only. Go ahead and click that. Send me the details. I'm happy to give it an honest, fair review. I won't be biased because you sent it to me. I'm sorry. I'm an honest person. I will tell you if it's great. I'll tell you if it sucks. If it's good and it can be great with a few modifications, I'll tell you what that is, because everybody else benefits from it. No, I love doing this. I'm in it for the long haul. This is so much fun to do this. I can't wait to do this every day. It's going to be amazing. There's so much swimming around up here in the bald head that I want to get out there. I like this sharing.